I'm a mild-mannered tech investor, and after doing that for many years and running the conference, I started to get more interested in health and healthcare because I thought that that was fundamentally a more interesting problem than what concert to go to on Friday night with your friends. And the juxtaposition with Burning Man is a wonderful one. Burning Man is about joy and delight and transience. And what I'm doing, in a sense, is about thinking long-term, investing now for future health. How do you create investment models that let you pay now so that people will be healthier later? And then how do you figure out how to get those savings back into the pockets of the investors? This all began 5 years ago when the X Prize Foundation had a healthcare X Prize that never happened for a bunch of more technical reasons. And I kept thinking, what a great idea. Somebody should do this. It would be wonderful as a place to do pilot projects with some of my cute little health startups. And last year at a Quantified Self conference, I was going to give a talk. Suddenly, they asked me to get up and make some remarks. So I thought I'll talk about how someone should do this Healthcare X Prize finally. And I realized that's a really lame talk. Somebody else should do something. So I announced what I called HICCUP, Health Initiative Coordinating Council. And I'll run through this all very quickly. I found a CEO. Advice to everybody, let them do the work, you get the glory. So my CEO is wonderful. First thing he did was rebrand the project to the Way to Wellville. And if I do this right, maybe, yes. You don't need to read this, but branding, it says the Way to Wellville. There's a website called hiccup.co. In the context of this conference, hiccup.co is in a sense about the quantified community rather than the quantified self. It's not a bunch of individuals wearing Fitbits and engaging in self-discipline. It's the community quantifying itself, creating data and evidence, and getting dramatically healthier. Over the year since I made that talk and discovered that I was going to do this, I've moved from, I know about healthcare and I think probably diet and exercise matter, to it all begins at school lunch, the home environment. Can you find healthy food in your supermarket? Do you have transit so you can get there? It really starts, health is produced. It's not fixed later in the healthcare system if you're doing things right. So the idea of HICCUP is a contest for 5 communities across the US, fewer than 100,000 people each, with a coalition of businesses as employers, businesses as retailers of food, government officials, school board, YMCA, church, temple, parks and recreation. The thesis is not that this or that particular intervention works, but if you want anything to happen, you need to do a whole lot of them together. So the communities are small, both so that there's some hope of that happening. We want this to look not like government interference, but like collective action. Maybe our evidence will lead to government interference later, but that's not our job. We just want, over 5 years, these 5 communities to become dramatically healthier and create evidence and inspiration for other people. I think I'll take questions now. I'm nervous about the time because I have a flight to catch, and I would love to see what interests you most, to the extent that you're involved in health or medical or in community development. Or I was fascinated with Sandy Pentland's discussion about groups working together. How do you put in a transit system that will make the community coalesce rather than fragment? So go ahead.
Yeah, hi, it's an honor to talk to you. Hi. There was an article in the Forbes magazine, Techonomy, where you talked about that the deadline was for May 23rd.
The sound's really bad.
Okay, it is bad. So there was a deadline for 5 cities to step forward to be part of that contest. Have you already selected the 5 cities?
Okay, I'm going to show you my baby picture. So when you're having a baby, you know, there's a lot of preparation and everything, and then finally it happens. And then you can show the picture. So this is our baby picture. We had a call for applications. We were expecting 20. It's on the website, so you don't need to. We were expecting 20. We got 42. And out of these, we need to pick 5. If you look at this carefully, you probably know someone from one of these places, or you went to summer camp there. Or what I love about this map is that it's tangible and real. We got the 42 applications, with one exception. They were all wonderful. There were coalitions of people who had gotten together in these towns. Part of the application was you had to have multiple entities signing the application, so your health system had to work with your school board. They had to tell us what they had already done, what had worked, what had failed, what they would like to do over the next 5 years. So it kind of broke our hearts. We wrote letters to 26 of them saying, sorry, we really liked your application, but we hope you will stick with us. And we were going to create a second circle, or, you know, like the leftovers. And that was awful. That was almost as bad as hiccup. But then we had a better idea. So it's going to be 5 or 6 communities in the competition, and then there's going to be Greater Wellville, just like Greater New York, Greater London, Greater Wellville. And that will be some kind of community along with access to vendors, that kind of thing, because the 5 will be competing, but what we're really trying to do is sort of what Sandy talked about again this morning. We want these communities to share experiences, learning. We hope over time vendors will come to these communities because they're the places that are willing to try new approaches and to lean into health. We also hope eventually people will steal people from these communities. You know, the deputy city manager of one place will go become city manager of another. And we're going to select the 5 in August, and then we're having a conference called Next Step to Wellville, where they will meet with us, with health providers, with various kinds of device companies, with funders and investors. And then the 5-year contest will begin. Other questions? Or is it all totally, yes, thank you. It's not totally clear, great.
Could you get a little more into detail, please, how you think that this competition will lead to a healthier life in these communities?
Okay.
What exactly are they going to do?
So what we hope will happen is these communities are already probably doing something. You know, they have a childhood obesity campaign. They may have diabetes management outreach, but not enough of it. You can have a childhood obesity campaign, but if the school lunch is garbage, nothing happens. So each community working with us will put in place dramatically more such interventions. They will understand and publish their baselines. What is your current rate of obesity? What's your current high school graduation rate? The whole thing is going to be crawling with researchers and evaluators. It is the quantified community. And then they'll be competing with these 4 other places to show the greatest improvement on these 5 metrics. And so it's not magic. Paying attention to something, putting resources into it, getting the community excited. Now, obviously, there will still be people in the community who don't want anything to do with this. This is the real world, and we want to show what can happen in the real world, not what can happen in the laboratory or what can happen in a clinical trial where people visit their doctor every day, but what is actually possible to happen in a real community. It may be smaller than yours, but it's normal people, and it's not a controlled environment. It is a manipulated environment. But we're in a manipulated environment right now. We are marketed to, we go into the grocery store and the healthy stuff is hard to find and expensive. We want to give people the tools to manipulate themselves back to being healthy and to do it at scale. And we are going to publish all the data. That's basically the only requirement, and we hope to have researchers, grad students, health companies. We want our ideas to be stolen, just the way Burning Man is now implemented all around the world. We want the same thing to happen to Wellville. Okay, if there are no questions, let me invite anybody who's interested to go to www.hiccup.co, and wherever your city or town is, please talk to us, steal our ideas, or send us some ideas. We'd be very grateful. Thank you very much.